Alright guys, welcome back. Mr. T here, Kraken, and we are doing another Commander deck giveaway today. Jan Jansen, the Chaos Crafter, red, white, black. Sorry, Marchesa. Move over. Jeez. Oh. Just took a sip of little sody. Got a little bit of the burpees here going. Anyways, moving on. Jan Jansen, guys, if you are not part of the if you haven't seen these videos in the past, not subscribed to the channel yet, go hit that subscribe button, comment below on the video. We're probably going to run this video for about a week, and then we're giving it away. So, Jan Jansen, Chaos Crafter, 3-drop. He has haste. You can tap him, sacrifice an artifact creature, and create 2 treasure tokens. Then you can sacrifice a non-creature. So we can sacrifice a creature artifact. Create 2 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature tokens. We don't edit here. We don't cut anything out. Let's get right into it. He is a doozy. I'm telling you. So good. I hope Marchesa is actually red, white, black, because I can't remember right now. Who's that other vampire? Olivia, Voldaren. So Voldaren and Marchesa, move the F over. Jan Jansen is in the house. Also, too, just for some reason, I just want to yell Leroy. He just makes me want to yell Leroy. Anyways, Goldspan Dragon, absolutely powerhouse for this deck. It's got flying, it's got haste, and whenever he attacks or becomes the target of a spell, you're going to create a treasure token, and then treasure tokens you control have tap, sacrifice this artifact, and add 2 mana. So our treasure tokens are worth double. Double. Battlemage Bracers. This thing is going to be bonkers. So we don't care if our commander has haste, because he already has haste. But whenever an ability of a quick creature is activated, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay 1. So we should be doing that every time we activate our commander's ability. So we're going to pay 1 to copy that ability and choose new targets. Doesn't matter which one we're doing. I mean, we're just going to get so much more value. We're going to be doubling everything we do with our commander. That's going to be really powerful. So instead of making 2 treasures, we're going to make 4. Instead of making 2 constructs, we're going to make 4. Absolutely gross. Staff of Domination. Alright, so Staff of Domination, there is a card that I'm missing from this deck that's really going to make Staff of Domination just be so much better. I cannot think of the card when it finally comes to me. I will link it down in the description below. But we want to make sure that our commander is going to be able to untap during other turns, or we can combo that with the Goldspan Dragon. So we're going to be able to use 4 each of our treasures. We're going to make double treasures. We're going to make them cost 2 more, so we're going to get more mana. So we should be able to get this to a point where we can untap our target creature, which is our commander, and then untap Staff of Domination. So that's going to cost us 4. So we're making 4 treasures, which we're going to go for 8. So it's going to cost us half. So we should be able to turn that infinite. Basically, that's what is that, 3 cards. So I do think we're still missing 1 card there, because let's see here, we're gonna have to pay 4. 3 and 1 is 4. Yes, so 4 to sack artifact to make 4 treasures, which is going to give us 8 mana, which is going to use half. We're going to have 4 floating, so then we can now do that again. No, we should have enough there. Yes, that should be 3 cards to do that completely. No, because then we're going to have to sacrifice a non-creature. So we need to find another way to make 1/1 colorless, or to get an additional treasure token whenever we sacrifice a creature. So we're going to figure out how to do that. Oh, you know what? We got it. We got it. It's here, but it's not here. So we do need 1 more card for that. But I know we've got it. Or the Battlemage Bracers. The Battlemage Bracers might work out too, because then we're gonna, if we can pay 1 additional, we'll have 3, but we're gonna get what are we gonna get? Yeah, I think we still need 1 more. Still need 1 more. Ravenous Amulet. 1 tap, sacrifice a creature, draw a card, put a soul counter on it, and then 4 tap, sacrifice an artifact, sacrifice this artifact. Each opponent is going to lose life equal to a number of soul counters. So we're really going to want to use this every single turn that we can. That way, not only are we going to draw a card, we're going to build those soul counters over time, and then eventually we're going to use it to kill as many of our opponents as we can. So as soon as we get this card out, we're going to start using that. Hellkite Tyrant. Oh, this guy's dirty. So 6-drop. This is a win con here. So whenever he deals combat damage to a player, gain control of all artifacts that the player controls. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 20 or more artifacts, you win the game. That should be very, very easy. Very easy. Hedron Detonator. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, pretty much every single turn, maybe multiple times a turn, you're going to deal 1 damage to target opponent. So that's really going to stack and add up very, very quickly. You should be dealing 1 damage every turn. Sacrifice 2 artifacts. You can exile top card of your library, and you may play that card this turn. Kaalia's Command. So we could choose 2 here. Now, I'm not sure. They probably need to specify. Usually when you have the choose 2 cards, they specify. This one does not, that you can choose the same one more than once. But we're going to create a 2/2 colorless construct artifact creature token, or we can put a +1/+1 counter on a creature we control. It's going to gain double strike. We can also search for a plains, or we can gain 2 life and scry 2. Number of things we can use there. Here we go. Sir Ginger, the meal ender. He is going to end some people's meals. Basically, he has trample, hexproof, haste, as long as an opponent controls a planeswalker. Whenever another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, so guys, remember, every time we sacrifice a token, even though it's a token, and normally we think, most people think like, okay, it leaves the game because it's, you know, it just doesn't exist, it's not an actual thing. It's actually, it is going to the graveyard. So if it's on the battlefield, it's going to the graveyard. So he's going to get a +1/+1 every time you sack a treasure token. So you're going to also get to scry 1. Then you could pay 2, sack him, and gain life equal to his power. I mean, honestly, he should be able to get really big. And as long as an opponent controls a planeswalker, I mean, hexproof, haste, trample, that's pretty gross. So I would consider letting a planeswalker sit on the battlefield as long as it's not too bad. Steel Seraph. Gross. Angel artifact creature. You can prototype it a little early on, which is pretty nice because it's going to give flying, vigilance, or lifelink until end of turn to your choice of 1 target creature. Honestly, it's a great card. So if you have a creature that you've been building up for a while, you can give that lifelink and you can just massively gain back a lot of life you might have been losing to the game. Depending on how big of a target you are, I mean, this thing could be super huge as keeping you in the game. I like Steel Seraph. Karn Living Legacy. I just feel like it would not be an artifact deck without Karn in it anymore. His +1 is just so powerful. You're going to create a tapped Power Stone, so that is going to basically, that's going to satisfy our non-creature artifact right there for our Jan Jansen. You can also -1 and pay any amount of mana, so if Karn gets out pretty early, you can just create Power Stones over and over and over again until basically this is going to be a nice little -1 scry and put a artifact card into your hand. What does it say? Any amount of mana, look at this mana card, then put, oh, just one of those. So you can scry for, that's pretty dope. So it doesn't have to be an artifact. I feel like I would limit this to a colorless card. So like colorless or artifact, it would probably reduce that. But I mean, either way, it's going to be really nice. And then -7, you get an emblem with tap and untapped artifact you control. And this emblem is going to deal 1 damage to any target. That is a super sick -7 ultimate for this deck. If you get that ultimate off, I'm pretty sure game's probably over. Just saying. Expel the Interlopers. Sorcery, choose a number between 0 and 10. Destroy all creatures with power greater than or equal to the chosen number. Most of this deck consists of tokens, so I mean, you're pretty safe with going with a power of 4. Most likely, there are not a lot of times that you're going to have a creature over 4 unless you've got an artifact that's stuck around and you've just been stacking +1s on it. For the most part, you're going to have a lot of 1/1s. Lot of 1/1s, Captain. Sentinel Sarah Leons. Dirty. Alright, so the foilings, yes, it is. We got that nice foiling right there. But I want to make sure we can just see this real quick. So, as long as an artifact enters the battlefield under control this turn, creatures you control get +2/+2. That's pretty much going to be every single turn. And then when it attacks with at least 2 other creatures, it's going to deal damage equal to the number of artifacts you control to target player. Yeah. The Sentinel's going to end some games for you. Ruinous Ultimatum is going to ruin some lives, alright? Destroy all non-land permanents your opponents control. Nice board wipe for all of your opponents except yourself. And that foiling is absolutely gorgeous. Oh, the surge foiling just does it. Sick. Yes, we have some nice cards in this deck. So, wait, did I have... Oh, it picked up the other side. I was like, did I mess up? I put 2. I like Sentinel so much, I put 2 in here. I am cheating. Alright, Braids, Arisen, Nightmare. This... Braids is going to give us so much value. Okay, so at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, a land, or a planeswalker. More than likely, we're going to choose artifact every single time. So, we should be able to, unless somebody's playing an artifact deck, we should be able to get rid of people's mana rocks very, very quickly, or anybody who's basically getting screwed by land and they're surviving off rocks, they may not want to give up those rocks. So for each opponent it doesn't, they're going to lose 2 life, and then we're going to have to draw a card. So that's 3 times. We should be able to decide on a permanent that we want to get rid of for a draw every single turn, so we potentially are going to draw 3 cards every single turn. Braids is going to work great. I absolutely love Braids in this. Mythos of Snapdax. Each player chooses an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker from among permanents they control, and they sacrifice the rest. If a black and red, which just so happens we're playing black, red, white, spent, you get to choose. So basically make sure you choose black and red and 2 white, and we're going to get to choose what everybody keeps, and then everybody's going to sacrifice the rest. So nice board wipe right there, pretty much. Skrelv, Defector Might. What a powerhouse. Basically, you're just going to pay 2 life or a white, tap him, choose a color, and it's going to gain Toxic 1 and Hexproof from that color. So this is going to be a protection, and it's really nice because you can just keep doing it over and over again. Skrelv isn't going to do anything much other than sit on the battlefield for you, and he's not going to block. I mean, he can't block anyways, but he's not doing anything else. You're not going to attack with him or anything like that. Really cool, too, though, is that I think we have Unwinding Clock in here. Yeah. We definitely have Unwinding Clock. Where's it at? There we go. All right. So Unwinding Clock 2, untap all artifacts you control during each other player's untap step. It's going to be really nice because that means if one player targets something that we really don't want to get rid of, we give it protection. Skrelv's just going to untap. And then we can use that protection again. Really nice there. Multiple. You can get that almost on everybody's turn. So if anybody's target has target removal, Skrelv's pretty much just going to ruin their day. Tessa Karloff. This is gross. So if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink. Most of our tokens are going to be, we're going to have a ton of token generation, all right? So all of our tokens are little 1/1 constructs that are going to get bigger. If we throw +1s on them, they're all going to have vigilance and lifelink. That's fantastic. If somebody is just lacking creatures and we have all of our little constructs on, we can swipe at somebody with no regrets. And basically we're gonna get a bunch of life back. But in addition to that, if a creature during dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger ability triggers. So if we have any sacrifice abilities, they're going to trigger multiple times. So if you have like Blood Artist, or if you have Mayhem Devil, which we don't have a Mayhem Devil in here, but we do have a Blood Artist, those are going to trigger multiple times, which is really nice. We're going to get a lot of value out of Tessa. There's a lot of creature sacrifice in this, even though we're going to be sacrificing our artifact creatures to create those treasure tokens. You're just going to get so much value out of Tessa. We're going to delete them all. All right, another search foil here. So delete deals X damage to each non-artifact creature and each player. Just make sure that you have a lot of life. Have a lot of life, more than everybody else, and then just exit for whatever. We don't even care. But we got to pair that off with Red Sun's Twilight. We do have quite a number of board wipes in here, so not to worry. We don't even mind if our commander dies. He is a 3-drop, which is so easy to recast, but we're going to destroy up to X target artifacts. If X is 5 or more, for each artifact destroyed this way, create a token that's a copy of it. Those tokens gain haste, exile them at the beginning of the next end step. Doesn't really matter. Honestly, we can do this to clear up all of our opponents at artifacts. Maybe somebody has something really, really nice that we want to copy. So typically we're going to do this for X is 5 every single time. Clear all of our opponent's artifacts, get copies of them, and then before they get exiled, too, in a lot of cases, we're just going to sacrifice those artifacts off and get some kind of additional value out of them. So time Red Sun's Twilight at a really good time, and you are going to get so much value out of it. So, and here we go, pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, create a treasure token. We've got Warren, Soul Trader. Tons of value out of this. I mean, the pay 1 life is going to be inconsequential, sacrifice another creature, so you have any of your colorless construct tokens out on the battlefield. Let's say somebody gets a board wipe out, and we could just clear up all of our creatures and then just go ahead and create treasure tokens. If they just have a creature specific board wipe, that's actually really nice. Pay the life. That way next turn we're just going to be casting everything we need to get back into the game anyways with all of those additional treasures. Blasphemous Edict. I mean, yeah, why not? Let's just clear the board one more time. I think I gotta have a feeling now that I think about it, this deck, a lot of people are just gonna hate this deck. So sacrifice 13 creatures of their choice. We could create a ton of constructs, so that's not really going to be a problem for us. I mean, getting to 13 constructs, very, very easy. You could probably do that in, I don't know, maybe like 4 turns, depending on what you have on the board, as far as copying activated abilities, things like that. It's not very hard. 3-4 turns, and you have way more than 13 constructs on the battlefield. Phyrexian Fleshgorger. All right. You can prototype him. Yeah, absolutely. But he has Menace, he has Lifelink, he's a 7/5, and then he has Ward, pay life equal to Phyrexian Fleshgorger's power. I mean, good card right here. Nice lifelink. You can get him out pretty early if you like for 3/3, and just start getting some life, getting ahead of everybody. That way when you do proc off maybe your Fire Sweeper, where we got your delete, when you throw off your delete, you're going to have plenty of life to not really be worried about that. But Needle Cyst, it's a 3-drop living weapon, and it's going to give equipped creature +1/+1 for each artifact and enchantment you control. Since we're playing primarily artifact deck, this is going to be pretty big. Now that I'm thinking about it, at this point, I feel like I should throw some flings into this deck just to get Needle Cyst out, and then re-equip it to another creature. So basically just equip it, fling that creature, kill somebody, re-equip it, fling it to another person, or even just make that creature attack. Hopefully it's unblockable or something along those lines. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely an option now at this point. So Mirror works. Whenever another non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2. Pretty much as soon as Mirror Works hits the battlefield, you're going to do this every single time you play a non-token artifact, and you're going to create a token that's a copy of that artifact. It does not make sense not to. I mean, especially if you get things like Needle Cyst out, it's just gross. Copy, because even you have things like this. Thopter Shop. Whenever one or more artifact creatures you control die, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Well, I mean, if we have Mirror Works has copied Thopter Shop, that's going to be fantastic. You can pay 3, tap it, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. I mean, yeah, the Thopter's going to be nice, especially if you board wipe and you need to start rebuilding your tokens. You're only going to be able to do it once per turn, unless you have your Unwinding Clock out, which, I mean, then it's going to be really nice. You're going to do it on everybody's turn, and by the time you get back to you, you should have been able to make 3 colorless Thopters. Illusionist Bracers. Whenever an ability of equipped creature is activated, if it isn't a mana ability, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. I mean, really nice. So we're going to use our commander's activated ability. We're going to tap it, and we can copy any of those. If we can make our commander an artifact and then include that, pair that up with the Unwinding Clock, that's just going to be fantastic. Because then we could do that during everybody's turn, right? So we do that 3 times where it gets around to us. So making our commander an artifact would be fantastic. That's pretty easy, though. What do I think? Liquimetal Coating. Although I think Liquimetal Coating is only until end of turn. Let's check that real quick. Liquimetal coating. I gotta see here. So, target permanent becomes an artifact in addition to its other side. Yeah, so Liquimetal coating, that's gonna pair up really nicely. We don't have one included in here, but if we do Liquimetal coating and we go the Unwinding Clock, we're gonna be able to use Jan Jansen's ability on everybody's turn. That's pretty gross in my opinion. Jan Jansen. So since I have other window open here real quick, 2 cards as well other than the Mayhem Devil that we don't have in this deck, but I think could just go a long way. We've got Ingenious Artillerist. That's going to be whenever 1 or more artifact creatures enter the battlefield under your control, it's going to deal that much damage to each opponent. It's absolutely sick. And then Academy Manufacturer. So if you would create a clue, a food, or a treasure token, instead create 1 of each. Yeah, so Jan Jansen's going to make 2 treasure tokens. So instead of 2 treasure tokens, we're going to get a clue, a food, and a treasure. And then we're going to get that twice. So we're going to get 6. So if we pair that off with Ingenious Artillerist, I mean, we're just going to get 6 damage to each opponent every time we use Jan Jansen's. It's... oh, that's so sick. Because even if you use those 3 cards and you have Unwinding Clock on there and you did it on everybody's turn, by the time it gets back around to you, that's 18 damage. I mean, that's just gross. Prototype Portal. When enters battlefield, you may exile an artifact card from your hand and create a token. You can pay X and tap. Create a token that's a copy of the exile card. X is the converted mana cost of that card. Honestly, I would pair it up with Sculpting Steel. So Sculpting Steel, you may have Sculpting Steel enter the battlefield as a copy of any artifact on the battlefield. So if we could prototype Sculpting Steel, that means for 3, we can, we're going to create a copy of any artifact. And, oh, that's just gross. Because you just create opportunities for some dumb things to happen by just continuously copying whatever. If you do that every single turn, by the time it gets back around to you, yeah, I mean, even make your rocks. Like, you could... oh my god, I didn't even think of that. Oh my god, if you just make Sculpting Steel into a rock for, like, 4 or 5, I mean, pick one. Thran Dynamo, whatever, any of your 3 and 4 rocks, and just keep making them over and over and over again. And then you don't even have to pay. Cue that up with Unwinding Clock. I mean, it's just gonna get gross. So, Scavenged Brawler, but we can do it with things like this. So, Flying, Vigilance, Trample, Lifelink. This is a nasty little construct right here. It's a 6-drop. So, but we can exile it from our graveyard, and then we can choose target creature to put 4 +1/+1 counters on them, and then we're gonna give them Flying, Vigilance, and Trample and Lifelink. Yeah, nice artifact creature right there. If you guys have been following the channel, you know I love Lion Sash. Absolutely love Lion Sash. So we're going to exile a card from a graveyard. And if it's a permanent, you're going to put +1/+1 on it. And then Lion Sash is going to equip creature. It's going to get +1/+1 for each counter on Lion Sash. Nice card right there. Clear up somebody's graveyard. So if they have graveyard recursion, we can react to those. And we can interact with that a lot. And it's very easy. It's a low cost. One to do that exile. We have Thousand Moon Smithy. This one's fun. Very fun. So enters battlefield. Create a white gnome soldier artifact creature token with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of artifacts and or creatures you control. And then at your pre-combat, you're going to tap 5 untapped artifacts and creatures you control. And then you're going to transform this. It's going to transform into a legendary artifact land. Now, it's great. So, if we give our artifact spells flash, by the way, this is going to be nasty. And we also have Unwinding Clock on the battlefield. Whenever you cast an artifact or creature spell using mana produced by Barracks of the Thousand, create a white gnome soldier artifact creature token with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of artifacts and creatures you control. You get some really, really big boys. So, do like Unwinding Clock. We have the Barracks out. And, I don't know, something... I think we do have it in here. Where you at? Oh, Liberator. Okay. So we do Liberator. We've got Unwinding Clock. So during everybody's turn, we're going to untap all of our artifacts. Barracks is an artifact land, so it is going to get untapped. I think, does it say? Let's make sure it doesn't specify so I don't sound stupid. There's our Unwinding Clock. Untap all artifacts you control. Okay, so we're good. We're good. So we're going to untap our artifact land, and that's, oh my gosh. Yeah. So, and then we're just going to cast a spell. Your Thopter, your Battle Thopter is probably going to get bigger because you can cast colorless spells as though they had flash. Whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast is greater than your Battle Thopter, it's going to get a +1/+1 counter. We do that 3 times. By the time it gets to our turn, we've got 3 creatures with power and toughness equal to artifacts on the battlefield. And yeah, it's probably over. If they have flying, if they can't be blocked, it's probably done. Catechist, Staff of Hermes. I've just been enjoying this artifact for a little bit now because it is going to give equipped creature +5/+5 and indestructible. We're playing commander, so you start out with 40 life, so you're automatically above that 30 or more life. The creature's going to have lifelink, so it's just really nice to make sure that whatever you have has indestructible. If it has indestructible, if it has hexproof, I mean, you're probably gold, honestly. That thing's not dying, or it's going to be very, very hard. I don't know how many people run full exile battlefields. Like, Farewell is pretty good. There's what we got. Farewell. We have one more. Ooh, we have one more that you can decide what you want to exile: battlefield, enchantments, graveyard creatures, etc. But I don't know how many people are really running those in their decks. And we do have like Blacksmith's Edict, which is sacrifice, which is kind of going to get around that. But unfortunately, we have a lot of token generation with this deck, so sacrificing isn't going to be... It's not exactly going to be easy for our opponents to do. So, since there is a decent amount of life gain in this deck, Black Market Connection is going to be a great card. It's going to give us... We should be able to choose both every single turn, and we can create a treasure token and lose 1 life. We should be able to draw a card and lose 2 life. I mean, we could do the colorless shapeshifter as well. It is a changeling, so it is going to count as an artifact. It's going to have every creature type. You're going to lose 3 life, but 6 life, that's a lot to do. But I mean, depending on what the board state's like and how much life we're getting every turn, we could, once we're set up, we could potentially do this all 3 in the same turn, every single turn, and just say to heck with the 6 life. I don't know. Just depends on how you've set it up and when you've played this card. If it's early on, I would just use the 3 life. And if it's late game and you're really set up, go for all 3 and just keep hammering away at it. Nice card, though. It's going to give you a lot of value. Iron Soul Enforcer. So when it attacks or commander you control attacks alone, you're going to return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Important there, it does have to attack alone. I would really just save this if you do need one of your combo pieces back from the graveyard. Other than that, I mean, it's really just in there. It's really just in there to save anything from the graveyard that you're really going to need. So this card probably stay in your hand for most of the game until you really need it. Threefold Thunderhulk. Wow, it just makes the, Thundercats. Anybody? Thunderhulk! Alright. Enters battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it, and when it enters battlefield or attacks, you're going to create a number of 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature tokens equal to its power. Yeah, this definitely is going to be a focus to put some counters on, and then you can, 2, sacrifice another artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on Threefold Thunderhulk. I mean, that's going to be super easy. This guy can get big very easy in this deck, and then it's just going to keep replicating. So, super value right there. It's going to pair up nicely, actually, with our... I mean, Urabask is really great. That's not really what we're going to pair it up with. Where's our dragon? Where's our dragon? Oh, no. Did we already see the dragon? Oh, we did. We did. That's going to pair up really nicely with our Hellkite. Our Hellkite Tyrant, who basically, if we control 20 or more artifacts, we win the game. Nice pair combo right there. So, Ghost Vacuum. 1-drop exile target card from a graveyard by tapping this. And then we could pay 6, tap it, and sacrifice it and put each creature card exiled, except they're going to come back as a 1/1 spirit. I mean, hey, why not? Let's get rid of any more opportunity to get rid of permanents from our opponents, and then also get those ETBs Maybe they have something really, really sick, like if we exile like an Atraxa or something. That would be gross, because we're going to get the ETB off of Atraxa. Just saying. Do we actually? Wait, do you have to cast Atraxa? Oh, man. I need to know my cards better. Well, let's go look at it. Atraxa... Is it Voice of Whatever? Grand Unifier. Enters the battlefield. Oh, so yeah, we don't have to cast it. So, if it was cast from your hand, there's so many Eldrazi's that do that, where they have to enter the battlefield, and it, like, specifies, must be cast from your hand. Like, no, just enter the battlefield. Marvin the Murderous Mimic. 2-drop. This one's the new boy. Really good artifact, too. So, it's going to have all the activated abilities of creatures you control that don't have the same name as this creature. You were playing Commander. I mean... Yeah, so activated abilities, that's absolutely fantastic for this deck. I mean, we could just make sure that we're doing multiple things. And if you don't turn your commander into an artifact, you just play Marvin. And then Marvin's going to have all the activated abilities of your commander. Marvin will then be able to benefit from the Unwinding Clock. So every turn you're just... I mean, if you have Marvin out and you have Jan Jansen out, and you do have Jan Jansen with Liquimetal Coating, you're going to get that 4 times. Wait, 1, 2? Yeah, 2, 2. You're going to get that 2 times, 2, 4, 6. You're going to get it 6 times before it's your turn. Mind blown. Marvin is gross. Now I had to read it just to make sure. E to Extinction. Exile target creature or planeswalker. Fantastic card right there. Urabas Forge. Really, really good here. For a lot of reasons. So... You're going to put an oil counter on Urabas Forge every turn, and then you're going to create an X1 red Phyrexian horror creature, where X is the number of oil counters, and you're going to sacrifice that at the beginning. So this thing is just going to get bigger and bigger. And then 2, we can just sacrifice creatures, so we don't have any... I'm trying to think where we have them. So we can sacrifice creatures. We have a few things that are going to do that. Let's see. Sacrifice another artifact. I'm going to try to see what's going to be the biggest thing to benefit from that. To sacrificing a creature here. No. I'm almost too lazy to actually go through. Here we go. So, really have Warren Soul Trader out on the battlefield. So you can pay 1 life, you can sacrifice another creature, create a treasure token. So your Urabas, you just swipe away with your little red trample Phyrexian horror, and then once it's gotten through, you just go ahead and you sacrifice it for a treasure token, which is great. So we do have some other creature sacrifice spells in here too. You have, I think it's actually coming up here. Let's see. So you have Blood Artist. So Blood Artist, whenever another creature dies, so it's going to get sacrificed. Everybody's going to lose 1 life, and you're going to gain 1 life. Jeez. There's so many things. Dockside. We have Dockside Chef. So sacrifice a artifact or a creature. We're going to draw a card. It's really nice. So we just sacrifice that little token. That's going to get exiled anyways. We do have to pay 2 for it. But yeah, we're going to get a lot of value out of Urabas. And then we have Mahadi. He's the Emporium Master. He's a little cat devil here. We definitely need a Mayhem Devil in this deck so badly. But anyways, at the beginning of your end step, create a treasure token for each creature that died this turn. Fantastic. So good. Cauldron of Eternity. It does cost 12. No worries, though, because it's going to get reduced by 2. And then also, if we have reduction of artifact spells, it's going to reduce by 2 more. So really, we should be able to get this down to probably 4 or 6 in most cases, which isn't really that bad. But whenever a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library. So it's going to save some of our creatures hitting the graveyard. And then you can pay 3, tap it, pay 2 life, and you can return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So really, it's just going to save everything that comes up. It's going to save everything that's come up before it's been played. Eventually, we can just sacrifice this off, or if we just want to let it stay there, we don't want things to keep hitting the graveyard. I mean, if somebody's playing Mill, I guess, or yeah, if they're playing Mill, because then we can just sacrifice our creatures, let them hit the graveyard instead of going to the graveyard, let them hit the battlefield, let them go back to our library. That's going to save us a little bit of time. There's not a whole much other response though, because if we get milled from our library to our graveyard, it's not going to really be saved by this. I mean, I guess it can, because then we could do 3 to pay 2 life and return to the battlefield and then sack it and get it back into our library. So, in a way, but that's going to be so time-consuming. Unless we have Unwinding Clock on the battlefield, and we're going to be paying 3 and then 2 every single on everybody's turn. So we're going to be able to do that 3 times. That's going to be tough. But we do have Foundry Inspector. Artifact spells are going to cast 1 less to cost. Into the Pit, you may cast spells from the top of your library by sacrificing non-land permanent in addition to paying their other costs. Really easy. I mean, we're making tons of 1/1 little construct guys, so we don't really care about them. So this is going to give us a lot of card advantage having this out on the field. Lich Knight's Conquest. Sacrifice any number of artifacts, enchantments, and or tokens. What's that card? Oh my gosh, what's that little demon now that like mills everything? Everybody has to mill everything except for the tops for like 7 cards, right? Do it. I dare you. Do it. Just so I can Lich Knight's Conquest on my turn. I want to return everything in 1 turn. Oh, that would be great. Or we can just Scavenger's Talent. Oh, that's great. So whenever one or more creatures you control die, we're going to create a food token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Not really an issue, especially there are a number of ways we can just sacrifice on other people's turns, but level 2 is going to be the really gross one. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, target player mills 2 cards. So we're sacrificing a lot of permanents in this deck. We can go ahead and do that. Level 3, not that big of a deal, but at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice 3 other non-land permanents. If you do, return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. We're really only going to use that if we need some kind of finisher from our graveyard. Otherwise, we're not really going to go to level 3 all that often. I honestly think by the time we get to level 3, like late game, the game's probably over and we don't even need that anymore. Commander Sphere, we got Staple. Swiftfoot Boots, Staple. Terror Ballista. This is, Meteor Golem for creatures, pretty much. Whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. We're just going to be able to keep doing it. We don't have to wait for it to enter the battlefield or anything like that. And so since we're sacrificing a little 1/1 constructs, we really don't care all that much. So we're going to try and attack with this as much as we can. And we're going to destroy target creature and opponent control. So we're going to be trading 1/1s for whatever doesn't have hexproof and our opponents need. No hexproof, no indestructible. Barbed Servitor. So when it enters battlefield, you have to suspect it. Now, suspect's going to make it basically be goated, and it's going to have menace. Goated. It's the goat. It is. It is a pretty dope card, because when it deals combat damage to a player, you're going to draw a card, and you're going to lose 1 life. And then when it's dealt damage, target opponent loses that much life. So we can make this thing really, really big with... what can we make it big with? We've got All That Glitters. We've got Michiko's Reign of Truth. Those are going to be really nice. Those are going to make it real, real big. +1/+1 for each artifact and enchantment you control. Same thing, Michiko's. Those cards should be pretty familiar for you guys. But we've also got Extruder here, so we can sacrifice an artifact and put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So we can put that on Barbed Servitor. So really, they're just going to have to take the life. They're pretty much just going to take the life, because even if they block it, when it's dealt damage, they're going to lose that much life. So unless they have protection from, they're really just going to need protection from artifact or protection from black. I don't know if can you get protection from artifact? Or is that just protection from everything? I think you have to have protection from everything. I don't know if they specify protection from artifact. Somebody let me know below. That could be your comment to win this deck. Protection for artifact exists. We also have Monoskelion. So that works really nice too with the Extruder, because we can just take those 1/1 counters, throw them on Monoskelion, and then we just remove those 1/1s and deal 1 damage to any target. Basically a multi-step Mayhem Devil. Which is nice, because if Mayhem Devil dies and we don't have a way to get it back, we're not really worried. There's other things for us to do. So, same thing here. Jury, we have whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put +1/+1 on him. So we can pretty much make Jury really big. And then either they take the damage, lose a creature, or kill him. And then if he gets killed, he's going to deal damage to any target. So Jury's really nice there. A lot of synergy. I love Sticky Fingers. I don't know why. I just really like this card. It's going to give a creature menace, and then whenever that creature deals combat damage, you're going to get to create a treasure token. It just seems like some little cheesy little enchantment that you throw on a 1/1 Thopter with flying that nobody's really worried about. Can't block. They're not really going to target it. They're not going to make you sacrifice it. You're not going to sacrifice it. So I'm going to throw sticky fingers on a little, like, basically an Ornithopter that can attack, or 1/1 Thopter. Yeah, there's those two. Ornithopter's not the only Thopter out there, guys. Reckless Fireweaver, a must-have. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it's going to deal 1 damage to each opponent. Must-have for this deck. Oni Colt Anvil, almost a similar must-have. You're not going to get as much out of it as Reckless Fireweaver, but if you get Oni Colt Anvil out really, really early, you are going to get a massive amount of value from it. And whenever one or more artifacts you control leave the battlefield during your turn, you're going to create a 1/1 colorless construct. So you're going to get that every single turn, right? And then you can tap it, sacrifice an artifact. It's going to deal 1 damage to each opponent. You can do that every single turn as well. You can even just sacrifice that little colorless artifact creature token that you're going to make on your first time you use it, and then just keep sacrificing it. So every turn you're going to get a 1/1. You're going to get a sack trigger from some other card that you have on the field. You're going to get paired up with the Reckless Fireweaver. You're going to have the Reckless Fireweaver deal 1 damage. Then your colorless is going to enter. They're going to take 1 damage. It's just a gross domino effect. So the unfortunate part here is you can't use it during other people's turns. I mean, you can when it untaps with Unwinding Clock, but you're just not going to get that colorless construct back. You can use it to, like, if you have the toy, you could probably use the extra construct you're going to get to deal that 1 damage, which is going to work nicely with Reckless Fireweaver. But outside of that, I mean, it's still going to have good long-term value. It's just going to keep pinging away every single turn off that 1/1 that's been created. So we got Scrap Trawler in here. Whenever Scrap Trawler or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact card in your graveyard with lesser mana value. Now that I'm thinking about it, we need an X. We need a X artifact for this deck to pair off with Scrap Trawler, so that when we have we basically need an X so that we have a 0. So with lesser mana value. So we will always, pretty much, unless we're sacrificing a token, we're always going to get that X artifact back, which then it doesn't even matter if we just cast that X for 0 and let it get stacked back to the graveyard, because that would be really nice. Even if we cast an X artifact for 1 and then sacrifice it right away, it's not going to be a really big cost to us, but definitely an X, because then we're always going to get something back when we do a non-artifact, no matter what. Which is going to pair up really nice with the Scrap Trawler, and then it's also just going to pair up really nice for any time that we're sacrificing and something dies. You're getting more and more of those triggers. So if you also have your little Battle Thopter on the battlefield too, that's not too bad, because if you have your Battle Thopter out, then you can just flash that X spell every single time. And then, I mean, by the time you go around, you could potentially kill the table with the right 4 or 5 cards. There's just so many things to do with this deck. There's so much to take in. We're 43 minutes in. Let's take a look at some of these beautiful lands here. Obviously, we're pretty much foiled out. And there's only 6 basics. Only 6 basics. All right, we've got Urza's Factory. Fantastic land. We've got Urza's Tower. So 1, 2, Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant. We've got Nearby Planet, because yes, it counts as an Urza's. And then we have Urza's Workshop, which you're going to tap it to add for each Urza land. So you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to Metalcraft for 6. That's sick. We've got plenty of duels in here. So we got Isolated Chapel, Temple of Triumph, Canyon. We've got Shadow Blood. We've got Foreboding. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. The lands in here are fantastic. Monumental Hinge, so in the battlefield, unless you control planes, then you can pay 4, tap it, look at top 5 of your library, and then you can bring a historic card from them into your hand, and then put the rest on the bottom. So a historic card, that's a legendary, that is an artifact, and it is a saga, I believe. I believe saga is the last one, but we've only got like, what, 2 sagas in here? Maybe it might even just have 1, just Michiko's, so don't really care about that, but it's a pretty much all legendary artifact deck, so you're gonna get something. You got Clifftop, Caves, Blightstep, Abstergo Entertainment, 3 tap, and you're going to exile Entertainment to return up to 1 target historic card from your graveyard to your hand. So yeah, artifacts, legendary sagas are historic, and then you're going to exile all graveyards, which will kind of suck, so time that appropriately. And sacrifice Sunbaked Canyon, so you've got some of the new Assassin's Creed lands, although I don't think they're actually new, just think they're reprinted, but the art on them is nice. We've got Hostile. 1 sacrifice creature, which any of our 1/1 little constructs, and then 3 or more soul counters. Remove those counters, transform it, and it turns into the Creeping Inn artifact creature horror construct, and you can pay 4 to phase it out, which is gross. So the gross part about that is it can survive board wipes, right? So whenever it attacks, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is the number of creature cards exiled with Creeping Inn. Now it is from your graveyard, so I mean, you're really gonna have to pay attention here. And it still can help in the game for you. It's over time. I mean, just be careful. You don't want to exile everything, right? But even exiling 3 or 4 creatures that you know for a fact you're not going to need ever again, it's gonna be pretty good, because you're going to do at 3 life. It's got a 7 toughness, so pretty hard to kill. Even if they can kill it, you've attacked, you can then phase it out. So it's going to leave combat, but you're still going to get that ability. Spire of Industry, pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color. Activate if you control an artifact. Temple of Silence, Raucous Theater, Temple of Malice, Shadowy Backstreet, Hall of I was about to say Hall of Turgan. Hall of Taxon. So 4, create a tapped Power Stone token. Very nice there. Crawling Barrens, really good here. So if we have a bunch of rocks out, things like that, and we just have a lot of mana, we don't know where to sink it into. Crawling Barrens over time, I mean, he can get big. Crawling Baron, watch out for Crawling Barons, man. Command Tower, of course. Shadow Snarl, and then Valgavoth's Lair. Enchantment land, you can add 1 mana of the chosen color, and it has hexproof, and you have to choose color when it enters tap. So just to be a fixer, but you are going to have to wait a turn to use it. And guys, that is the deck. 47 freaking minutes. Holy crap. If you stuck around this long, saw all these cards, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. The views, the time, it all helps to move the channel forward to getting monetized. In addition, I just appreciate everybody for watching. So, hope you guys enjoy the content. I hope you guys are excited to play this deck. Let's see here. There was 1 or 2 cards that I did want to add in. Jan Jansen, Chaos Crafter. So, 3 cards that I would recommend adding into this deck. Academy Manufacturer, Ingenious Artillerist, and Mayhem Devil. I just don't have them. I do have them. I know for a fact I don't have Academy Manufacturer. I may have an Ingenious Artillerist. I just can't find it. I know I have a Mayhem Devil. Just couldn't find it. There's just so many cards to go through. I did see on here too that Mirkwood Bats would be a great addition to this. So whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. I mean, the deck's just making tokens and then sacrificing them. So really, really good, fun deck. Let's see. Oh, Marchesa is Mardu. All right, Marchesa, you going down. Kaalia, you're going down too. Edgar Markov, we're coming for you. Coming for all the other Mardu decks. This one's, it's a lot of fun. I think it's going to be so much fun. The curve is pretty low, so you can play with the lands quite a bit. Sitting at 37 right now, but like I said, curve's very, very low. There is a decent amount of draw in here, there's a lot to do. So every single turn you should be able to do something, which to me is the best way to build a deck, honestly. It's just the best way to play. Only 6 basics in here. Guys, that's the deck. Have fun. Comment below. Let me know what you think. What cards would you add into it? Go wild. Enjoy your day. Till next time, Mr. T.